This is not just another war, it's something bigger, because what's unfolding between Iran, Israel, and the United States, it's not just about missiles or retaliation, it's about power and who controls it. Beat. For decades, the Middle East followed a pattern. Allies were predictable, enemies were clear, but now, those lines are starting to blur, and something deeper is shifting. It began with a moment that seemed routine. Tehran dismissed U.S. ceasefire conditions, calm, firm, expected. But that's when everything changed, because Israel didn't pause. It escalated, strikes intensified, targets expanded, and suddenly, this wasn't diplomacy anymore. This was pressure. Beat. And questions began to rise. Was Washington still in control, or was the situation slipping? And then it got worse. Because across the Gulf, something unusual happened. Saudi Arabia and the UAE started pulling back, not loudly, but clearly. Tighter restrictions on U.S. basing, more caution around financial ties, signals that support is no longer automatic. Beat. Think about that. For years, the deal was simple: security in exchange for alignment. But now, that deal is being questioned. So what changed? The answer may be simple: self-defense. Beat. Gulf states are no longer just following Washington's lead. They're preparing for their own moves, independent decisions, independent risks, and that is a major shift in power. But here's the tension. They're balancing between two forces: Iran, unpredictable and rising, and the United States, a longtime ally, now facing uncertainty. Beat. So, what happens next? Do they support a wider war? Or step back to protect themselves? No clear answer. And that uncertainty is dangerous. And then there's the money. Because war doesn't just reshape borders, it reshapes economies. Beat. Billions in Gulf investments are tied to the United States. Energy, technology, infrastructure, now all exposed to risk. What if the conflict expands? What if retaliation spreads? What if alliances become liabilities? These are no longer distant concerns. They're happening now. And then, another shift. Quiet, but significant. Reports suggest some Gulf states may be edging closer to joining the fight against Iran, not openly, but strategically. Beat. And if that happens, this war changes completely. It becomes bigger, more dangerous, more global. But perception may be the most powerful force of all, because the narrative is already shifting. This is no longer just Iran versus Israel. It's becoming a test of alliances, a test of loyalty, a test of influence, and once that perception spreads, it's almost impossible to reverse. And just when tensions seemed ready to explode, another twist. Mr. President delays strikes on Iran's energy sector. 10 days. Beat. Not canceled, not confirmed. Delayed. Why? Strategy or hesitation? Because in moments like this, timing changes everything. A delay can signal control or uncertainty. At the same time, there are claims that the United States has sent Iran a plan, a possible way to end the war, a diplomatic exit. Beat. But is it real peace or just buying time? Because history shows us something important. Peace offers often appear right before escalation, not after it. So where does this leave us? The United States, trying to maintain influence, Iran, pushing back, Israel, increasing pressure, and the Gulf states, watching, calculating, repositioning. Beat. Because for them, this isn't just about war, it's about their future relationship with the United States. And maybe that's the real story. Not who wins on the battlefield, but who controls the narrative, who defines alliances, who decides when enough is enough. Beat. Because wars like this aren't just fought with weapons. They're fought with timing, with perception, with strategy, and sometimes with silence. So ask yourself, is this a temporary shift or the beginning of something bigger, a new Middle East, where power is negotiated, not guaranteed. Beat. Because one thing is clear, this is not just a war, it's a recalibration of power. And it's happening, right now. If you found this analysis insightful, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments, what do you think happens next?